It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Brouhaha. Man, chilly weather. Winter time's here. How you doing, Dale?
Man, it's a great, cloudy, cold, sort of wet Mississippi day, isn't it?
Great football weather, ain't it?
Yeah, but it'll be summer tomorrow, and then spring on Saturday. Don't worry about it.
Well, lots of stuff going on in the old sports world.
Oh, my goodness.
Man.
Oh, my goodness. It was a wild weekend, wasn't it, in Mississippi?
Man.
We made national news. Oh, we still making it.
Still making it.
Yeah, people
People
are calling some guy a con man and a liar all in one sentence. I don't understand
Well,
all
they
that.
loved him the day before.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how fickle
We
is
can
that?
put up with that as long as you win. You can be a con man and liar, just win.
Just win,
Just
baby.
win, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, you know, people, it's kind of overlooked the Egg Bowl. It was a pretty exciting game there for at least a half.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss they just had too much firepower.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how much of that firepower they're going to take to the playoffs if they get in.
Well, I assume right now that everybody's bought in. I heard today that a couple of offensive coaches will be staying, even though they're going to go to LSU after the season, but they're going to stay through the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that'll help a little bit. So
Who are they? Charlie Weiss?
Charlie Rice was one of them that I heard today. Now I'm just quoting what I heard.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to have a press conference tomorrow at 3, which is Wednesday. I think a lot more will come out during that time.
Yeah.
But it's real interesting. But you know what's missed in all this is the players.
Yeah.
I mean, if the committee penalizing, you're penalizing the players. You know, I mean, that's what people
Well, you
are
got
missing.
a standard. And
Yeah.
we're going to disagree on this, but I was for knocking Florida State out.
Sure.
And I would be hard pressed to put the Rebels in because it's not the same.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
And
And I'm a Rebel fan.
yeah.
But I couldn't vote to put them in.
But Florida State was not playing well, even.
Well, we don't know how Ole Miss is going to play.
Well, that's true
The
too.
coach is gone.
But based on their work so far, they've earned the right to be there.
See, that's where we disagree. You have a right.
Well, you are presuming that they're not going to be as good as they were because they lost the head coach. I don't know how many plays the head coach actually called.
Yeah. I'm just saying I couldn't put them in. I mean, it's not for me. It's not.
But I think right now
You'd put them in. I wouldn't. So we tied up. We got a tiebreaker.
Well, it's a Mississippi team, sure.
Yeah.
But I just.
I'm a Mississippi.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you sound like you're from Louisiana.
Well, I'm just trying to play it.
Now,
keep
do
the
I
emotions
blame
out of
Kiffin for leaving? No, I don't blame Kiffin for leaving. But Kiffin knew around the 1st of November that he was gone. And he kept delaying this because he thought Ole Miss was going to let him coach in the playoffs and also be their chief rival. Now, I don't know. I mean, that's almost like somebody told me today, that's like telling your wife, say, now listen, babe, I'm going to stay with you through the holidays, but then I'm going to go and marry this other girl.
There's no universe I'd let him coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, no.
Yeah,
I mean,
no universe.
I think it was, I was appalled that he even asked to coach.
Yeah,
You know, because he'd be inside that building, he'd still be recruiting those players. I'm sure he's going to go for the quarterback and the running back and people like that. I mean, he is going to get players from Ole Miss.
Well, if it hadn't been for him, they wouldn't have been at Ole Miss in the first place.
Well, we don't really know that because Pete Golden is probably their chief recruiter.
Did Pete Golden recruit
Well,
Chambliss?
I don't know. We're really one of these analysts was looking at films and told Kiffin about him.
Yeah.
So, you know, of course, he was their only, that was Chambliss's only offer. So I don't know how much they had to really recruit him. But it's interesting, and I understand that your point too.
Yeah.
They aren't probably the same team, but I'm willing to give them a chance. Florida State was playing terrible after they lost their quarterback, because if you remember, they lost him with a couple games to go. And so they weren't playing well at all. And then Ole Miss is sitting here, and they've done everything they've been asked to do, even played Georgia to the hilt, till about 10 minutes to go in the game. So I'm willing to give them a chance.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you are, but I'm sure not. Who's our guest tonight?
Michael Chavez.
Okay. And what does Michael Chavez do?
Originally he's from New Mexico, and now he lives in Jackson. He works for the Clarion Ledger, and he covers high school sports, and he's going to talk about the state championship games this week and what he thinks.
He's going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's take a break here from one of our sponsors, and we'll be back with tonight's guest, Michael Chavez, right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Michael. Thank you for being our guest today, and we've told people about you working at the Clarion Ledger, and that you're going to talk to us about the state football championships a little bit, and then we may get off into some other subjects of interest. We've had a lot of news going on this weekend, and maybe you can fill us in on them. First of all, let's talk about Starkville starting Thursday night, and you just kind of we'll just start with the 1A game and work our way up. Do you think Simmons, who finished second last year, will be able to take the 1A crown this year? What's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, I think, a very high-scoring game in 1A this year, just because both teams are so offensively heavy. You got Demarius Pittman at Calhoun that, is leading a Calhoun City team that averages 6 touchdowns a game, which, at the high school level is very hard to do. And then you have a Simmons team that, led by DJ Gadsden and Quintarius Wallace, who have almost dominated every team that they've played, this season, as they're one of the 3 undefeated teams in the state at 12-0. And I think it'll be a huge test for Simmons, considering, kind of like you said, Dale, they lost last year, and, they've lost their last 3 state title games that they've been in. So they're kind of looking to get over a hump, up in Starkville. But I think I might have Calhoun City barely squeak over Simmons. Both talented teams, but Calhoun City's force this year has been really one to watch out for.
Yeah, well, you told me something interesting Saturday when we were talking. You're talking about Simmons losing with the last 2 state championships. Is that correct?
Last 3, yeah. Yeah,
our last 3. Okay, so they're going for the 4. But you told me about the Mississippi State quarterback, and when he was playing at Noxubee. Do you remember what you said about them? They went to the state championship 4 times? How many times they win?
Oh yeah, with the Noxubee, yeah, they've I believe 4 in like the previous 5, or maybe I believe Noxubee County has lost its previous 5 title games. So they've been to, I think, 6 title games in the last like 6 or 7 years, but they've lost the last 5. So they're also kind of in the same boat, as Simmons, where Noxubee County is kind of looking at, to get over that kind of title drought as well. And, they've been a really solid program, the last decade with how many championship appearances they've had. And, they play a really good Raleigh team as well, whose only loss the whole season has been to a 7A school, and they're in 3A, So, that game is definitely going to be another one to watch out for. With Jaden Taylor, Camario Taylor's younger brothers at, Mississippi State now. And, Raleigh has, Mr. Football, Jamarian Owens at defensive end. So, definitely a talent in that game as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Going back to the 2A. Okay. Now, we got a local team from our area here, Heidelberg Oilers. What do you think about the Heidelberg matchup?
I think Heidelberg is as dominant as any team in Mississippi, and I think all of, kind of the low class in Mississippi, regarding kind of 1 through 4 a little bit. I looked up a stat, but I believe when I was, kind of researching, I think that this is true, but they scored 680 points this year, which out of their 14 games, which I think is the most in Mississippi from what, at least in MHSAA, from what I've kind of gathered. I could be wrong, but I think this 680 mark has not been eclipsed by another team. And, Chase Kraft leads that, a full touchdown brigade, having 51 this year, which, is insane by a junior, especially with him playing both sides as well. So that kind of just shows you the force that this Heidelberg team has and how talented they are. And I think a game that really stood out to me this year was when they played McCallie, Tennessee, who is like a Tennessee powerhouse team for those that don't know. And they currently, or before they played Heidelberg, McCallie played a top nation-ranked team from California. And, so that kind of just shows you the type of team this Heidelberg program either faces and, ends up playing really well towards the end of the season, and why they're defending 2A champs, right? And I think they definitely have a good shot over East Webster in 2A. But East Webster, their air raid offense with 2 quarterbacks, combining 3,000 passing yards, it's going to be a little bit hard for Heidelberg to stop, I'm sure. But I think the Oilers get it done for another state title.
Yeah, well, you said something about 14 games, but I think they had 2 forfeits in there because 2 people wouldn't play them. So,
Yeah.
So really, if you think about it, their average is probably pretty sky high for 12 games or ever how many they finally ended up getting to play. But yeah, the only reason they scored 3 touchdowns in that McCallie game. McCallie scored 3. The only thing that was different was Heidelberg didn't have a kicker. And so they had to go for 2 points every time after that. But that was a great matchup because McCallie is one of the better powerhouses in Tennessee. They may not be the powerhouse in Chattanooga because I got a guy sitting right next to me that played for Baylor, and they're right across the street, I think, from McCallie. But anyway,
McCallie was ranked 24th in the nation, I believe, when they played Heidelberg.
Yeah.
So that tells you something. That's quite a feat.
Yeah. And they fly in, and they fly in planes to places, and of course they I asked Daryl Carter about how that game was scheduled, and he said, well, they reached out to me, said we couldn't find enough people to play. He said we went to a jamboree and played folks like Hattiesburg and all that and beat them in the spring, and then nobody wanted to play us. And I said, well, you should have put your second string in the jamboree, But Kraft is an excellent player, and of course Heidelberg scores on very, very long plays. They're very, I don't say they're impatient, but they just explode on offense. All right, so we've covered the first 3, and so far you've told me that you think Calhoun City and Heidelberg, and who did we pick in 3A? Knoxville over Raleigh?
I think so. One of our other reporters have Knoxville, but I think Raleigh might squeak a win. Maybe they're played really well this year, I believe.
Yeah, I know the last time Raleigh won the state championship, they had the linebacker from Ole Miss up there, and I saw him.
Perkins.
Yeah, I saw him run ragged down there at. In Hattiesburg, he scored, and he had Lane Kiffin and Pete Golden there in the end zone watching him play that day. And Pete Golden was coaching at Alabama then. So, he's so maybe if this Evans kid is as good as him, then one of the Mississippi teams will have an excellent football player. All right, what about 4A? You got from this area, we think Columbia is a very dominant team. They shut down Poplarville twice, and Poplarville's got probably one of the better players in the state, and the Keys fell at running back. And somebody told me the other day that he's got a little brother coming that's going to be better than him. So Poplarville's probably going to be in the hunt for years to come. But what do you think about Columbia and the 4A gang?
Definitely have been dominant this year. As another team that's remained undefeated while playing 14 games. And I think with Chip Bilderback, their coach, returning, as he had, I think, a year, maybe two, I think just one, but that year absence when he left to another school. But I think that's really, he's brought that program back to what it was. And I think, the Wildcats certainly have what it takes to get it done. I, have them winning over Kosciuszko, but I know Kosciuszko's quarterback, Caden Wade, has really, really took over 4A this year. And while 4A has been really, really competitive with the amount of teams that are in there, that class has just been really, really strong. But, him having 34 touchdowns and, I think even C.J. Sanford, their running back, has, about 1,300 rushing yards. Like, that offense is really sound, which is sometimes hard to find in a lot of teams that are a little bit lower class, but it's really, really powerful. And I think Kosciuszko might fall short of Columbia. I think what Chip Bilderback has done over there and, probably Peters and Ashton Daniels, what they've really done, for that program. I think Columbia does get it done. And I know they fell short 2 years ago in Oxford. But I think with Chip being back and, with him returning, I think the Wildcats have to get it done and end 15-0, which I believe is their best season in program history. Looking back, I don't think they've had this many wins while being undefeated. I don't think ever before.
Yeah, they've got a lot. Like I said, they get a lot of exposure down in our area. So, but we don't know much about Kosciuszko. But you were telling me some interesting facts about Kosciuszko. When's the last time they won a state championship?
Yeah, their last title came in 1949. Wow. So pretty long time ago. But they're like I said, their quarterback Caden Wade has just really, really performed well. And I think their last time they played in the state title was '96 too. So it's kind of been a long drought, not just to win it, but also to be in one. So I know the Whippets are really gonna be hungry to kind of avenge this really long drought that they've had. But I don't know, what it seems like from Columbia, from what I've seen and heard, is that team is just really, really put together, and it's going to be a tough one on Friday coming up.
Yeah, I think in that '96 game they lost to Northeast Jones, and that was the only that's the only state title Northeast Jones has ever had. And I think they went back in '97, but they lost to maybe Clarksdale at that time. Okay, so we cleared through 4 of them. Now, I don't know if I should skip 5A or not. I'm not sure. Because I think Brookhaven might have met their match. And, of course, now Brookhaven, to me, I watched a little bit of them on film. They are so fast on defense, and they did upset Madison Central during the regular season. But I know West Point has played just a demanding, probably a better schedule than Brookhaven even played. What's your thoughts on that 5A game? Can Brookhaven even keep it close? Do they have a chance to win?
I think when you kind of look at a lot of West Point's games this year, they've obviously their schedule is pretty grueling. That I think I forgot the exact name of it, but the triangle that they're in, with Starkville and Tupelo and Knoxville County and all these, and even Louisville in there as well. So, you have these really, really talented teams that they play. And every game was within a touchdown for them except the Starkville one. They kind of blew out Starkville. But, they only, in week 1, they won 9-7. And, they beat Tupelo by a touchdown, Knoxville County by a touchdown. And in district play, they, beat everyone by a lot. But I think sometimes West Point in these really close games that are really competitive, they do always find a way to win, which is why I do think they'll beat Brookhaven. But I don't think West Point is going to necessarily blow out Brookhaven, just because, obviously, as you guys know, Brookhaven's really, really competitive on offense. Jane Allen has really taken over that team so far. I think 37 touchdowns he has, I have written down. And, with King Quarles at running back, and kind of what you said, they're really fast-paced, which, I feel like West Point always kind of tends to play a more slower pace of games, especially since all they always run. But, that West Point defense, has Mr. Football on a Jordan Rush, which, you can never count out ever whenever you play a Mississippi team, whoever has a Mr. Football, especially as a defensive lineman. But I do think Brookhaven keeps it close, but I do have West Point, getting their 14th state title. They're even just moving more and more up the hierarchy of Mississippi high school football. With I think behind them is Louisville. I think with 12, but they didn't make it this year. They fell to Kosciuszko, but yeah, I think West Point does claim its 14th over Brookhaven, but I do think the game will be fairly close. I do not think it'll be a blowout.
All right. Okay. Now, 6A's got another kind of local team that we see a lot, especially on Friday night highlights. The Hattiesburg Tigers. What do you think about the Tigers and their matchup?
I think they're almost, if they're not already, they might be up there as one of the hottest teams in Mississippi currently. They had a really rough start to the year, but they've won 10 games in a row. And, that's all kind of been decisively. I mean, they beat a really good Picayune team by a few scores last week, which I was almost a little shocked by that. I had, in our Clarion Ledger rankings, I had Picayune in the top 10 the entire season, I believe, and Hattiesburg almost just kind of ran over them. Without Tristan Keys, I might add, their 5-star Tennessee commit is, I think, only appeared in maybe 4 games this season. So they've been doing all of this without him, which really shows the dominance that this team has and, how much they can avenge that 6A state final loss last year that they had to Grenada. And Davion Young, a receiver, quarterback Gavin Ducksworth, those two have really, taken over this team under, first-year coach Kendall Lacey. And I think against the Warren Central team, they definitely have a shot. I think I have them winning by a few points. This game will be tight, I'm sure, because, on the other side, you have Nash Morgan, who's a do-it-all quarterback when I watch them, and, what I've kind of been reading over the entire season. He leads Warren Central, obviously, in passing, but also in rushing. I think he has, I believe, 36 touchdowns in total, and he had 4 against Risen. He almost had a 5th, but they fumbled there at the end. But yeah, so, coming off a 4-touchdown night against, a really good Risen team, and, they're Hattiesburg's main source, if they want to win, is to contain Nash at quarterback. And, if they do that, I can see Hattiesburg, avenging that state title loss last year. And there's been speculations of the last title win. I know last year, because they were in it, it got talked about a lot, but a bunch of records and what people say is 1924 was their last one. But,
hey, that's when they play 2 games a year now. That's when they play 2 games a year.
Yeah.
So they cancel that out, buddy.
Yeah, so there's been speculation on when, because if people don't count that 24 title or 1924 title, then this would be their first one if they come out of Starkville with one. But yeah, Hattiesburg, I think, definitely has enough to avenge last year's loss to Grenada, definitely.
Yeah, that would have, to me, the Hattiesburg, if Hattiesburg and Columbia would have played down here, that'd probably been for the South State Championship in all the classes, because those two are really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we go to the last one. First of all, I believe Tupelo is still the top-ranked team in the state. Is that correct, or is West Point?
I currently have West Point, but that's just because, West Point, I think, has that upper edge over Tupelo. I know they only play once, but, you just got to give it to West Point. They've been really good. But, I had Tupelo at 2, so not too far behind.
Yeah. So who's your favorite in the 7A game?
So I was kind of, indecisive on this one because, obviously, Tupelo is I think they're the second best team in the state, so that means, I have them first in 7A. But what Gulfport has kind of at least shown to me is that they're really, really playing well at the right time. And, that's just not to say that they've, won, I think they won their last 10 games as well, kind of like Hattiesburg, but because they had a rough start to the season. They were 1-2, but they kind of started to click things together. And that running back Cooper Crosby, who is starting to get SEC looks now, he's really, really been on fire as of late. And you look at their playoff schedule, and they scored 40 points or more in every one.
Wow. And
I think to do that in 7A is really, really impressive, considering, they played a Rankin team who, was in a tough district, so they kind of got a bad end of it, but, they just dropped them. And then they played a Petal team who had hopes of getting the Starkville because they had a really solid program, but, they went past them. And then a Brandon team who upset two teams to get there, and then, they kind of waxed them a little bit. So, this Gulfport defense has only allowed, less than 25 points in 3 games, and you have the offense that, is scoring above 100. So, it's hard for me to not hate Gulfport, but, Tupelo, the names that they have, Mr. Football, Mississippi State commit Jane Hill, they got Kylan Bobo to back him up. He's over, I think, 1,500 rushing yards, and, the defense with Devontae Brewer, and you got Jeraylin McCoy, Iverson McCoy. Just the talent that Tupelo has is, bar none in the state. But I might go with my gut a little bit, and I think I might pick Gulfport by a field goal in the state final.
Man, you're closing us out on this segment with a good pick right there. Listen, Gulfport, I didn't see that one coming, but I respect it. Listen, we really appreciate you taking time to be with us and sharing all this stuff, what's going on with our playoffs. Really an outstanding report, Michael, and thank you for your time. I'm going to ask you to hold on for just a minute. We're going to take a break here from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I will be back with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. I tell you what, well, Michael broke it on down what's going on with these state playoffs.
Well, you know what was interesting? He said Gulfport by...
Gulfport by anything.
Okay, but just listen to this. Gulfport,
yeah.
Hattiesburg, 4A, Columbia, 3A, Raleigh, he said just a few points. 2A, he said Heidelberg, and 1A, he said Calhoun City. Now, I don't know if that's north or south.
That's north.
Okay, but anyway, well, what about Simmons? Simmons is up there in the Delta somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, no, Simmons played in the South because they played Stringer. That's correct. But anyway, there's a chance that the South may rule this year in Mississippi.
The South shall rise again.
Yes, sir. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Man, I tell you what, there's a lot of good football played in the state of Mississippi, as we all know, and a lot of it comes out of the South. And,
and recruiting is tomorrow. High school signing day.
Man, what a big week.
Yeah.
What a big week.
I saw today where State had 26 commits and Ole Miss has 18.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. We'll see about that. So, look, folks, Dale, we had a long interview there with Michael, our guest. It was really great. I just want to let you know I appreciate you, buddy.
Well, thank you.
That's what a pat on the back sounds like right there.
People he's abusing. We
want to thank y'all for joining us tonight and listening in to our show, and want to remind you that you can keep up with us on Facebook at the Brouhaha and on our YouTube channel where all the shows are cataloged, where you can listen to them on demand, and that channel is the Brouhaha. But for now, it's that time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Del McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.